For once, I'd like them to go to a planet where they worship fat people so I could rip my shirt off and you'd all be bedazzled by my hot, very, very round body. This is Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 2, The Least Dangerous Game. If you haven't watched the episode, make sure you go and watch the episode and then come back because I'm just going to talk about the episode and I want to get your feedback. So like, comment and subscribe, and here we go. So opening up with the Klingon sort of Dungeons and Dragons Klingon game. I'm pretty sure it's a reference to the 90s Klingon game. I don't know if aRGH Herzl was in that, but he's in this. And it was really good to sort of hear his voice. He does sound a little bit not as strong as Chancellor Martok, but it was good to have him back. I really enjoyed Boimler's arc of sort of, he sees that a Bolian officer has progressed, and he literally progressed because he just was a little bit of a risk taker. So Boimler decides, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to risk take and I'm going to say yes to everything. And then gets attacked by and then agrees to get hunted by an alien. And we saw a little bit in the trailer, and he basically just runs away screaming. And then when he finally does discover that he wants to stand up and fight, covers his face in paint like Predator, he just gets pummeled while he's giving his speech. And I thought that was really, really funny. I liked the way the creature took the selfie afterwards, sort of like, oh yeah, I've taken the selfie. Very Trump's children. We obviously had Mariner being on the lift, being almost annoyed that she is locked in this location. She should be down on the planet where they have a wellness thing. There's a really great line where it goes, Starfleet isn't all about kissing different aliens with different crinkled foreheads. I think I'm paraphrasing there. Which, with those planets, it pretty much is. Tendi obviously didn't have much to do in this episode. She was sort of background with Boimler. I really liked just the three different stories that were going on. Obviously, Mariner's trying to she's getting frustrated. She's has to fix the elevator. And she's getting annoyed at the commander, and she's sort of like, he clearly doesn't know what he's doing, but there's some sort of, we learn that there's some sort of idea going along, and then we find out that he just expected her to break the rules. He was trying to get her to break the rules, and which she sort of does. She does a skydive thing, which is kind of a reference to Star Trek 2009, but halfway down he tells her what she's doing, and she has to climb back up. Which I wouldn't have made it up those stairs. And it was interesting because then he goes, oh, we'll skydive down. They skydive down. Rutherford is put on a pretty much sentenced to death on this planet because he didn't show his belly button. It was really clever, and the planet's ran by an old baby, a computer, and a volcano. And the computer just beeps. Like, there's a lot of little quips, a lot of little funny things. My main funny thing was the selfie stick and the reference to being a warrior. And we see that Boimler gets sort of pushed into that warrior thing because J.G. Herzl is telling him a warrior does this and they do that. Otherwise, look, I'm sort of having the same feeling I had with Season 2 of Lower Decks, in that I'm enjoying the episodes, but they're not ha-ha funny. Kind of like when I watch The Simpsons now. I don't mind the episodes, but they're just not ha-ha funny. Like, I don't laugh out loud. I really like sort of the play with the different characters. Separating them also makes it a bit different. You get to see their interactions with different people. Boimler obviously getting his frustration at not being promoted from being an ensign. We see that the officer that they're talking about is who's a Bolian, makes a whole Bolian bridge crew. And I'm going, you know what? We've had pretty much whole human bridge crews. I'm sure we could do a whole Bolian one. It was really good. The design of the hunter alien or Shaft or something, was really, really good. He looked really, really cool, but he was also really likable. Like, he meets the captain and he goes, oh, thanks for the margaritas. because they'd gone to dinner or gone out earlier in the day. So they got along really, really well. It was a fun episode. I'm not hugely impressed by the season. I think the novelty of callbacks to other series wears off. And I think that's what I'm feeling. Last episode, we had a lot of nostalgia. This episode, we had J.G. Hertzler show up. We did have a play on the planet of wellness. And we had a few like little in-jokes. I just want to see something more from it. Like, you know how you get with Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites? There's sort of, sometimes it's a continuing storyline, or sometimes there is character build. It's wacky, but there's a character build. And I don't think we've actually seen that from Lower Decks. Look, I might be speaking out of turn. It's just how I feel about it. I feel a little bit like, at this point, they're just making the series because they can make the series. I know a lot of older fans really, really enjoy the nostalgia and enjoy the things. I want to see something new. And Lower Decks hasn't really lifted the bar since season 1. We're only in the second episode. Like, we're only in the second episode of the season. It could get a lot better. We could have some big revelation later on. But at the moment, like with these first 2 episodes, I'm not hugely impressed by them. I'm looking for something a bit more like Rick and Morty and a bit more like Solar Opposites, in that you get really interested in the characters. Like with Solar Opposites, they have that entire B-plot about the humans in the wall, and that got me right into that show. Rick and Morty, I know, has some continuing story elements, and they're really good. But with Star Trek Lower Decks, it's like the characters are kind of on reset like TNG, in that they don't really grow with each episode. There's no real... there is a bit of character development with Mariner, but there isn't very much with anyone else. They all sort of seem to be locked in. But I suppose if you take them away from Lower Decks, you lose the Lower Decks. I have a lot of hope for the season. I definitely think Lower Decks is the stronger of the newer shows in terms of being consistently good. Like, this episode was good. But I certainly don't think that the last season 2 and so far season 3 has really reached the peak of what season 1 was, which was a really fun ride where there was a mix of nostalgia and new things and a lot of in-jokes in terms of sort of trying something and doing something a bit wacky with it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 3. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And remember to come back for more videos. My final thoughts on this episode are definitely that, it's got potential to go really, really far. At the same time, it just hasn't wowed me yet. So just tell me what you think and come back next time. Live long and prosper.